Where is everyone? Maybe they're on hunts?
No, it's just you.
I swear there were more hunters.
Nope, you're the only one.
Oh, well, that's never stopped me before.
Ladies, gentlemen, and
Hunters of all ages, this past week, Wild Hearts finally reached the end of its planned update roadmap. We've gotten multiple new deeply volatile Kemono, a new variation of a Kemono already in the game, and a whole new Kemono, which is honestly one of my favorites now, if not just straight up my favorite as a whole. The game has received multiple technical and balancing updates alongside this, and now seems like a pretty good time to answer a relatively simple question. How is the game done? What does the future look like for Wild Hearts, and what can we expect? Well, first of all, the game is a success in my personal books. Anyone who's been able to actually play this game has had a pretty good time with it. All reports that the game is really fun, and I totally agree with that. I think it's a very worthy member of the hunting genre, and I've enjoyed my time playing it quite a bit. But the big elephant in the room here is performance. So many people who wanted to play Wild Hearts simply have not been able to due to the performance issues. It ran pretty poorly on most PCs and even had some issues on consoles, which is unusual considering that consoles are sort of a defined setup, which means that testing on consoles should be quite easy. Unlike PCs, where there are a billion different possible configurations from person to person, consoles just sort of are what they are, you know? They're built how they're built, and the fact that the game had some struggles on console even indicates a much deeper problem for performance. This has been an issue since the game launched more than 2 months ago now, and unfortunately for everyone, it is still an issue to an extent. They've said they're fixing it, and they've done multiple smaller patches that have fixed it for some people in some ways, but the greater issues have still taken hold, and that honestly is quite upsetting. My journey through Wild Hearts personally has been relatively smooth with only minor issues performance-wise, and that is absolutely why my opinion of the game is what it is, why it's so high. I think it's really fun and a well-done hunting genre game, but that doesn't excuse the thousands of people that haven't been able to even give it a chance whether they wanted to or not. Recently, the Wild Hearts dev team did an AMA on Reddit. For those who aren't in the know, that simply means they responded to various questions from the community, which gave us quite a nice pile of information that we didn't have before. Some of those answers tell a bit of a concerning tale, honestly. Firstly, related to what I was just talking about, they are still working on the technical problems and performance issues of the game. They are committed to fixing this to the best of their ability, and even though it is now 2 months in and there are still a lot of problems, they do still want to work it out. They are still trying, which is a good sign. That said, clearly these issues have sort of sabotaged the rest of the game and its plans for the future. On release, we were given a 2-month roadmap of free updates, which we've now reached the end of. They were all a lot of fun, really. Lots of people asked in the Q&A if there were any plans for more updates like this, or maybe even a new roadmap to lay it all out for us, and the response was not positive, by which I mean they essentially just didn't answer any of those questions, which generally means that they didn't want to talk about it at all, which usually would mean that you should not get your expectations up. If they aren't responding, it means that they don't have any concrete info that they are able to share right now. They don't want to commit to having no more proper title updates adding in new Kemono, but they also don't know if more will happen. Essentially, the future of the game currently is in limbo, and it is almost assuredly due mostly to the reception that the game got. The low purchase and play numbers, which once again largely rounds back to the technical issues. They vaguely hinted at the concept of the celestial being, part of the final boss experience of the game, and the ability for it to return in the future, which implies that more updates are possible if they're hinting that this would even be a possibility, but again, without any confirmation of any sort, Wild Hearts is just sort of in a purgatory state where more things could happen, or they could just not.
But I want it.
I want it too.
The devs have also confirmed that there are no plans at all for a major expansion to the game, like the G or Master Rank expansions that Monster Hunter games get. So it's either these free title updates continue that are, as of right now, completely unconfirmed or even hinted at of returning, or we get nothing more. And nothing is looking like an entirely possible outcome, as sad as that is. That said, the response about expansions specifically said that they're focused on a steady pace of free new content, and they said this knowing that the only thing that was currently left is the update we just had last week. So it sort of implies that there very well could be more, and that would be ideal as far as I'm concerned. But without any sort of proper confirmation, we have no idea what we should expect in the first place. I hope there's more. Again, genuinely, I love this game. I have a great time while I'm playing it, and hopefully the performance issues can be ironed out sooner rather than later, so even more people can experience the fun that I've had within this game as well. But as of right now, I can understand the dev team's apprehension. There are priorities to this. Yes, the team that worked works on making new Kemono is likely entirely separate from the team working on fixing the performance issues, but there is absolutely a big argument to be made that until the performance issues are fixed and more people are able to play the game, is it even worth releasing the new Kemono yet? Well, those of us actively playing the game would obviously say, yes, that is still a thing that they really do have to consider. The way that I see it at this point is the whole situation is just sort of sad. It's a shame. The game is really enjoyable for those of us playing it, but the amount of issues that are stopping a large portion of potential player base from even existing, as they just can't justify playing the game due to the performance, has hurt it such a significant amount. The game had a lot of potential. It met a fair bit of it, but it has absolutely been held back so much from a performance standpoint that it might just sort of disappear sooner than it should by any means. Usually when a game fades away, when a game that has promises of free title updates has to stop earlier than they expected, it's usually because the game just didn't meet the expectations. It's because it sold less copies than they wanted to, made less money than they were expecting, and just has less active players constantly than they were anticipating. Usually that happens because the game just isn't very good. In this case, that just absolutely isn't what's going on, at least not in my opinion, and that's just heartbreaking, honestly. The game is genuinely so fun to play, but it's just been torpedoed by its own performance issues, which then extended to make less people be able to play it and try it out, and thus make the game far less successful than it could have been, making it far less money and selling far less copies. And knowing just how cutthroat EA can be as the publisher of this game, they're not the devs themselves, that's Koei Tecmo, but still, they are publishing it. EA tends to just look at the numbers, and if the numbers are disappointing to them, then they may well just say, hey, stop working on this, we've decided it's done, it's dead, it's a failure. And that just ignores the context entirely. I've said it multiple times today, I've said it a ton in the past. Wild Hearts is an extremely good game. It's very enjoyable, a ton of fun, and honestly a blessing of a new entry to the hunting genre whose gameplay, in my opinion, is second only to Monster Hunter itself. But the technical and performance issues that the game has had have muddied the waters to just such a massive amount. It's made less people able to try the game, it's kept some people who've even bought the game from being able to play it and enjoy it properly after the fact, and in the end this sort of trickle-down effect may well wind up getting the game essentially cancelled very early on in its lifespan. It may get the updates to stop flowing much earlier than they were initially planned to, and it will more than likely impact the possibility of a sequel to Wild Hearts in the future. An important thing to remember here is that this is the first entry in Wild Hearts. This is a brand new product which hasn't had years and years of polish applied, years to rethink how the weapons work or their gameplay philosophy or anything like that. This is the game right out of the gate, essentially a baby within the hunting genre, and it is so genuinely good with all of that considered. But I'm quite sad to say it's looking like, due to the problems that we've had, the game may never make it to its relative adulthood. The future of updates for the game is entirely up in the air, and I'm pretty certain that wouldn't be the case if the performance issues hadn't been a thing, if we'd had the amount of players trying the game that we could have had at launch. But these issues are still a thing for many players even to this day, and it's just hurt the game so much at this point. Hopefully they can fix it, as they said they will. They said that they will keep trying and doing their best. Hopefully it hasn't just killed the potential of future updates for the game and we can still get more. I really hope Wild Hearts will survive its rocky start, because I think it totally deserves the chance to grow and evolve into a staple of the hunting genre. It's just struggled to begin with. That's everything really. Essentially, just my consistent concerns about Wild Hearts and how that relates to the recent AMA and the answers that we got, especially if we just had the final confirmed title update for the game hit, and so now we have no idea if there even will be anything else added. We can only hope, and I'm absolutely hoping that we'll get more. I'm hoping they're just sort of playing coy, not actually just sort of trying to downplay the somewhat death of the game. Like if you like the video, subscribe to the notification bell for more, and most importantly, ladies and gentlemen, until next time, stay sweet.
Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.